Hello and welcome to another edition of Addition with Addy Adewusi. I'm your host, Addy. I'm a product manager, mathematician, artist, creator, tech optimist, and futurist, and I am here bringing you the news, bringing you an update on the markets, as well as some career advice and what I'm geeking out about. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Addition with Addy Adewusi. If you're watching or listening through your podcast player, please follow or subscribe to the podcast, and please rate and review as well. I want Addition to reach as many people as possible, which is why I'm asking. It is free, and all I ask is that you support the show by subscribing, liking the videos, rating the podcasts, following the TikTok @AdditionsPod, the Twitter @AdditionsPod, and the Instagram Addition with Addy. All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's get into the markets. They're not pretty. So Bitcoin is down 7.2% in the last 7 days. It's hovering around 43,000 right now. And Ethereum is down almost 5% in the last 7 days, hovering around 3,100. So not great if you bought crypto in the last week, because the prices were going up and you may have bought at a temporary top. But don't worry, Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto in general, the prices are very volatile. So it will be down 10% 1 week, it will be up 10% 1 week. So get into practice the habit of just making a decision of how much you want in this coin and move on and let it go. Yes, I am reminding you every episode, but it is important to be aware of what's going on with your investment. So that's an update on crypto. Similarly, the S&P and NASDAQ are down. The S&P is down 0.49% over the past week. NASDAQ's down 3.5% over the past 5 days at the time of recording. So no one's really having a great week this week. Hopefully you feel like you're not alone. So let's get into the hot topics in tech. First, Solana NFTs are now on OpenSea. So if you don't know what OpenSea is, it's the marketplace for NFTs. It's where people buy and sell NFTs. There are many other NFT marketplaces, but OpenSea is the biggest and the most notable one. And this news impacts me directly because when I minted my first NFT collection last fall, Ethereum gas fees were very high. And gas fees are essentially the transaction costs for, doing something on the Ethereum blockchain. So because the Ethereum gas fees were so high, I had heard about Solana, and I heard that, their biggest selling point was low fees. So I minted my NFT collection on Solana, but was upset that I couldn't also put it on OpenSea since that's the biggest NFT marketplace. So best believe I will be moving my NFTs from SolSea to OpenSea so I can be exposed to a larger audience. And if you want to know more about my NFTs, I will include a link in the show notes. It's a woman in mathematics digital art collection that I created for Dartmouth while I was a senior. I did it as an independent project. The department paid for me to create the art, and it is on permanent exhibition in Kemeny Hall, the math building. So I thought it'd be the perfect project for me to turn into NFTs. I have an NFT brand called Girl Dad's NFTs. I will also include the link to that in the show notes. So yes, you will see my Women in Mathematics NFT collection on OpenSea. So next, Meta, formerly known as Facebook, plans to add social tokens to its platform. So if you haven't been up to date with what Meta has been trying to do in crypto, so they wanted to launch their own cryptocurrency. It was an initiative called Libra. It eventually got shut down. There was a rebrand. They renamed it to Diem. regulators continue to block Facebook from getting into cryptocurrency. Facebook has 2 billion users or more at this point, and regulators were fearful of attaching a currency to a platform that had that much influence. That being said, Meta stock is severely down due to the impact of Apple's updates to privacy on the iPhone. So Apple owns the operating system for the phone, and Facebook or Meta is just an app on Apple's operating system. So people were able to realize that Facebook, aka Meta, is actually very vulnerable to Apple, and the stock price went down accordingly. So now Meta's scrambling to get, new areas of growth, because people will only buy a stock if they think it's going to be more valuable in the future. So this is Meta's plan. It goes with their plan to focus on the metaverse. The metaverse will have to have its own currency. It's unfortunate that it's not going to be a token that lives on a blockchain. The beauty of the blockchain is that everything's transparent, and you can see, what's going on, who's moving money where. You can track down what's going on if something's on a blockchain. Meta will not be creating their own blockchain. It will be essentially their own money. I'm still curious to see how this is going to play out and excited to watch. So in tech geek news, only people that are super into tech Twitter will likely care about this, but Fast, which is a one-click checkout startup, has shut its doors. I gave you a warning that we were in layoff season and to brush up on your interview skills. Since then, since I discussed that, there have been more layoffs, and now a whole company is shutting down. So again, be mindful. The markets are down, both crypto and the stock markets. Companies need to make money. And if they need to cut their losses, the first thing that they're going to look at is headcount, employees. So if you're working for a startup and you don't feel secure in the future of the company, start interviewing now. If you're at a large tech company in a pretty comfortable position and you're thinking about leaving to join a startup, interrogate your interviewer about the financial stability of the company. It is so important. So be careful. I see more layoffs and company shutdowns throughout the rest of 2022. That's my prediction. So as a listener to Addition, think very strategically about your career. So this is the perfect time to get into the career topic. I have a lot of people that ask me for career advice, and I appreciate you all. Please, if you have any questions, whether it's about tech, crypto, career, just send an email to additionpod@gmail.com, and I will answer your question on the show. So I wanted to address some preconceptions over what a career is. And so this message is specifically to recent graduates or people who are about to graduate college. So if you're listening now and you're not in that audience, share this with someone who needs to hear it. So what a career is not, it is not something that anyone is entitled to. No one deserves a job. Companies are not obligated to create jobs. Companies are actually incentivized to reduce as many jobs needed as possible. So part of my background is working in automation, and it's essentially, and people talk about automation, AI coming for jobs, and it's not necessarily a negative thing. If you are the owner of a company and you want to increase your profitability, you are going to do whatever you can to reduce the number of jobs needed to make your company run. If you are not doing that, it is likely that your company is going to go out of business at some point. So if you're in college and you think guaranteed as soon as you graduate you're going to get a job, you are sorely mistaken. You are, as soon as you graduate, you are moving from being a student to being a salesperson. So see every interview as a pitch as to why this company is going to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of $1,000s on you. So you need to be able to tell them how they are going to make more than the salary that they are paying you, and that you are essentially will make a profit for a company. So that's the mindset that you have to go with. So yes, having a degree, that helps the selling point. But all a degree is saying, I am intelligent. But are you going to translate your intelligence into money for the company? That is what you need to sell in the interview. Also, corporate America is less about, how smart the people are, what their pedigree is, what their intelligence is. It's all about status games. So as you know, most companies are organized in a hierarchy, and people start at somewhere near the bottom and they work their way up to the top. So status comes from being higher in the hierarchy. So when you're being interviewed by someone, and let's say you're being interviewed by the hiring manager, you being added to their team needs to improve the status of the hiring manager. So maybe that's because you went to an Ivy League school. Maybe that's because you built a successful app. Maybe it's because you have an excellent looking LinkedIn. When they go and tell their manager that they hired this person, them saying that you are this new person should make them look good to their manager. It's also about power. A lot of people come into a job with no power, right? And they think that what they need to do is just get as much work done as possible, and that will be what moves them up in the career. That is not true. What will have you move up in the career is your ability to have power over others. And so how can you get teams to work together? Because you as one person, I don't care how amazing you are, 2 people will be able to do more than you. 3 people will be able to do more than you. 4 people will be able to do more than you. So your job at a company is to essentially make allies within the organization and be able to influence them to help your work move forward without necessarily being their direct manager. If you are a direct manager, it's more clear. You have a team assigned to you, and it's your job to get the team to work together to pursue the work that you are responsible for. So be wary if you end up being the person that, I'm going to send this to Addy because she always gets things done. That may feel good at the moment. It may make you feel secure in your current role, you are secure in your current role, but you want to move up in the hierarchy. If you're listening to this podcast, you definitely do. So you can't just focus on getting tasks done. You have to work to rally a group of people around you to help you move your projects forward. I will talk more about the nuances of career that people aren't necessarily talking about, but I just want to remind you, 1, you're not entitled to a job. You are convincing the hiring manager that hiring you will make the company more money. And 2, it is not about getting tasks done. It is about gaining power within the organization. And power has a negative connotation, but a positive way to look at power is leadership. Leadership is essentially a euphemism for power. So hopefully that helps, and I will get into more detail. And I will be able to do that faster if you submit specific questions, so then I can talk about what you specifically want. I'm going over 15 minutes today because I do want to talk more about DAOs. So yesterday, in the last episode, I announced that I'd be creating an Addition DAO, and I spent some time yesterday working on setting up the DAO. It is not as straightforward as it sounds. There are a lot of steps involved. There's great YouTubers out there. If you're thinking about starting a DAO, just search how to start a DAO on YouTube and you'll be able to find videos. But I just want to talk about the reason why I want to start a DAO. So one, Addition is not just me. Addition doesn't exist if people aren't listening. So I want to be able to reward the listeners by being, early listeners, early supporters. So I would like to have a coin, a cryptocurrency associated with the DAO. I'm hoping to get the ADD coin, ADD. And I would be able to reward listeners for sharing the podcast on their social media platforms, for adding subscribers to the Substack, and also potentially do a revenue share as the podcast grows and, as I get sponsors and partnerships, I would want to be able to transfer some of the gains that I've been making to the listeners, because without you, this podcast is nothing, right? So again, the way to join the DAO is to first be subscribed to the Substack. As I told you, I'm already in the process of creating the DAO. I hope to have it spinned up in the next couple weeks. So subscribe now to additionpod.substack.com. It is free to subscribe. And once I have your emails on the subscription, I'd be able to send out the specific instructions for joining the DAO. And no, you will not have to pay in to get into the DAO. I will actually be dropping tokens to you as an early listener of Addition. So I can't do a huge deep dive into DAOs right now, but Google in the meantime, and as I get further along in the DAO, I can talk to you more about how specifically the Addition DAO is going to work. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I will be recording another episode tomorrow, and I like this cadence of 3 episodes a week, and you may get a bonus episode if I'm able to find an interesting person to interview, or there's something that I want to do a deep dive in. So thanks again for listening, and I will see you next time.